Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective. To those who are new, we are a number of people who tap into our infinite higher human consciousness potential. So, embodied self leaders, being yourself under pressure, when you're activated, nervous system sovereign, stuff like that. For the mystic community, we are channelers and downloaders. We're spiritual, not the bypassing kind. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We had a new moon. When you're somatic mastery, mental mastery, that means that you're nervous system sovereign, you're self-sovereign. So epistemic trust, you know how to have it. Like, it's not broken because you have discernment. Let me explain. Good judgment, discernment, good judgment. It comes from equanimity, calm and centered, and love. Thanks God. God is discerning, equanimous love. You want to learn a little bit about my story? 14 pages. I am the co-author of the book, The Ways to God. So since I've been a little kid, I've been blessed with God in my life. And I'm not welcomed by all because, as you know, those of us who welcome it all in, well, we get rejected. But luckily for embodied self-leaders, our heart doesn't break in the way of the lack of self-regulating, accountable, and aware. So people who lack all three, they tend to go and hang out with the ones who validate their charges and their epistemic laziness, that's for sure. Yeah, so they actually are also confused. Yes, they are confused, as Patrick Chan points out. He's a good childhood trauma survivor. I always say healed and healing therapist. People whose epistemic trust was broken when they were growing up and they don't know how to unconditionally love themselves and others with flaws. Yes, it's a long story, but 3D, 4D is going to stick around. I spot the groupies. They validate each other. Okay, so when someone loses the ability to accept information at face value, there's where when this trust breaks. So epistemic trust was not broken. I have God in my corner. My mom taught me respect for myself and others. I maintained epistemic curiosity in high school, in college, and when I did meet the backstabbing liars as my first 11, 12, 13, my first, do you know attachment trauma education or nervous system science stuff? Okay, if you don't, there's words that I use. I'm going to look to bring explanations, but the gist of it is, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. And so when you are nervous system sovereign, and that's because you're self-aware, accountable, and regulating, and in my case, my 3-year-old, she's the same 3-year-old she was when she was a kid. My 16-year-old, I'm the one who doesn't change me, but I evolve and expand me. And what I should say is I emotionally regulate me and I emotionally mature me. So when I feel heartbroken, I know how to handle it without feeling like a victim or a helpless, hopeless, I'm only human after all, don't put your blame on me. So I remember everyone's human, and I got taught with my good Christian Catholic catechists not to cast a stone, to forgive. Jesus taught me that, and to be blessed, because I do believe every human has kindness inside of them. And I don't just believe. Nervous system science proves it, brain science proves it, and all the amazing attachment trauma educators prove it. Not me. I'm the woo-woo pseudoscience lady. But do I know people who don't believe? I find it hard to believe. And the first is that, yes, I do. They're not evils. No, but they follow around those who are not evils either. See, here's the thing about those of us who know what prophecy means. Speaking forth mind and heart of God to encourage, comfort, challenge, strengthen. Yes. Outside of time, so you can predict events of the future. Yes. Check, check, check. Miracles, yes, supernatural, but it's okay. Sometimes science can also explain miracles. Diffuse conflict and provide clarity, the word of wisdom, yes. So here's the deal. No monster, no Lucifer, no superhero, supervillain, just being ordinary. But it isn't as straightforward as it seems, because I'm broken free from my affective realism, my very strong emotions. So when I get heartbroken, it just means Maria's 3-year-old is sad. And so if someone says that they want to make your heart happy, the heart actually does enjoy being seen, soothed, safe, and secure. Let's just remind ourselves again that I'm only human. Okay, so when people don't own themselves yet, they don't observe, witness, narrate their own embodied brain because they're not integrated, we will know that they don't know how to stay grounded, connected, and present. And so they don't know good resilience, let alone are they going to be on a journey of their own health. And while I would love to tell you that I am aware of the word responsibility, I'm aware of how many people, like Patrick Chan points out, don't go to therapy. They actually are still confused. They're adaptive child part people like Terry would use that word because that's where childhood idea of what a grown-up coulda, shoulda, woulda done. But their black and white thinking shows us that they're not really aware of what it is to see what true leadership is made of. True leadership are always going to stand the test of time in a good way because God always wins. Those who don't believe authenticity or transparency or truth is that which the human beings want, they're the same ones who I don't listen to. Their faith in humanity was broken. They will speak words of they're disgusted by us, and I will think God made us perfect and science proves it. You seem to not notice the inconsistency that lies within your mouth, and that's because they don't want to hear it. And so when someone says, I found it hard to believe I'm first to use life, they're not a bad person. They're an ignorant person who is supporting their own personality patterns, temperament, and not secure attachment and impaired integration. And so when someone does break the heart of another human, even though they think that they aren't going to or whatever, that's why you say you're sorry to people, by the way. So there are those who don't care to say they're sorry because they don't care about subjective experience, because they don't care about feelings. They also think that we are all going to somehow be able to achieve perfection, which is not the case. I'm a healthy perfectionist. And so here's what I love to quote Louis Pasteur, his statement: chance favors the prepared mind. And then there's another sentence that I'm going to modify a little bit, but it's something along the lines of if you assume something is healthy when it's not, you could, there could be consequences. And what I do enjoy knowing is even though Neil deGrasse is trying to help people to know what real skeptics are, the ones who will basically see the proof and change their mind, I've noticed there's a 3D, 4D collective out there, emotionally immature. They lack self-awareness, accountability, regulation. They actively cast a stone. They judge each other. They want to talk about God and evil and all that other stuff. And I'm like, God made us all perfect. Science proves it. The only people who seem to continue to be divisive are the same ones who are not only epistemically lazy, and their epistemic trust was broken, but it was when they were infants, not now. So they are lazy because they're not motivated to learn, but also they tend to get into that maladaptive pattern of behavior crowd. So I here for those who want to be themselves under pressure. Emotional intelligence, nervous system sovereignty. Check out PayHip for mindset practices and journal prompts. And we will also have content for Substack, so join us there as well. I have some new guides, mini guides, and a lovely framework that I'm going to be rolling out with over time. But in the meantime, the less connected you are to what is objectively true, the less likely you are to make decisions that will benefit your life, the life of your family, even civilization itself. Thank you, Neil deGrasse. And as Sam Harris points out, grounded in reality people, their cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. But what I have noticed, particularly when it comes to the attachment trauma education, is that those who think health does not need a therapist are the same ones who tend to not have healthy emotional relationships and emotional mannerisms. And so again, all humanity has kindness within them, but if that kindness was ripped away from them, the only people who can claim it back and bring it forth are the same people who will, when they're integrated and whole like us, know our own personality patterns, temperament, and our secure attachment will enable us when we're brokenhearted to say it's okay. God always has our back, because that's why Akash Source, God, is amazing. And love always wins, because love is our health. And that's because, again, while those who don't believe their first 3 years of life matter, I have my 3-year-old here, and anyone who doesn't care about her is going to make my heart very sad, but I know how to get over it. Because as a teenager, I learned it. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. And also because as you continue to grow up and you say, in my case, yes to Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, I said yes at my confirmation. And I, to this day, as a mystic, know I'm rejected by some, and they like to use words and monsters. And I just think, well, I'm not God, but I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. I'm not actually somebody who looks at shame, blame, fault, or revenge as anything except for what emotionally immature people who don't notice their affective realism is still controlling them. controlling them, not me. So owning your brain is this. It's observe, witness, narrate. I own my bilateral, vertical, overall integrated brain. I own my effective realism. I know that I won't always catch all of it, but I'm not trying to, because I don't feel responsible for your nervous system. I'm responsible for mine. And then when you're upset, I'll apologize as a decent human being will. And that's because Terry Real points out, to grow a bond, and he talks only to couples, you will want to make each other's heart happy. Heart means feelings, not anything to do with words, and feelings, we're all different. So as we will continue this conversation, because the new moon brought some stuff up, science is true whether you believe in it or not, and those who lack emotional depth lack it because they don't care to grow it. And I'm not going to try to prove it to them, because the one thing they do is say this: I found it hard to believe that my first years of life, I don't need therapy, I don't need this, I don't need that. And the one thing that they continuously spot with the ones of us who are compassionate or kind, it's not interesting. They actively spot the wrong things, and then they don't spot themselves when they're actually supporting that which is called very, very horrible. So you create strong children by the way, allowing them to express all of their basic human emotions, and they're only going to be strong if they move over the hump of courageous and strong with curiosity. So here's my 3-year-old who's very fun and having a good time. And when I meet people, any of them who make my heart sad, I talk to God always. And then I say, it's okay, Maria. Guess who loves yourself the best? That's right, because that's what happens. So self-aware, accountable, regulating people, we're securely attached. And so whether it is within one-to-one, one-to-many, whatever relationship you want to use, it's not a transaction. Actively, there's a me and a we. So our self is made, thanks Dr. Daniel Siegel, as he teaches really great information. It is made with, I can feel how I am as an individual, and then I can feel how I am with a we. Terry Real explains, his word is biosphere, and I'm explaining to you all why when you feel not seen, not heard, not soothed, not safe, you're going to be sad. And if you're an embodied self-leader, you're going to know that. And your effective realism doesn't paint a picture, but you'll also know that lack of emotional depth gets boring. And also it's uninteresting. And also it means it's a person who could get their health in the forefront, but they don't want it. Because confusion is often protection for childhood trauma survivors. Thanks, Patrick Chan. And as he points out, a bunch of people make fun of people and insult them that go to therapy. And they're the first ones who could really pick up the pieces and learn how to be emotionally aware. So once you're ready to forgive, you're going to enjoy this collective, the 5D collective, because none of us are perfect, and we don't need our little self-righteous energy because we know how to stand up for ourselves. That's a self-aware, accountable, regulating, responsible, emotionally intelligent person who says, I know what epistemic trust is because I've never been lied to, because when someone does lie or manipulate, like my facade friend, they're fakes. They're not going to keep their promises because they don't really care to. No, because emotionally immature people can't think of others. They have yet to understand how to fulfill their own embodied brain, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old. And that's because they don't know how to enjoy life just the way they are yet. So it's really hard for them. And like my facade friend, they have core wounds. FYI, all of us have kindness and goodness. We're meant to bring it forth, and that's why integration and wholeness and embodied self-leadership, being yourself under activation, means you know how to self-regulate because you want to. And then for me, as a mystic spiritual one, it's special to tell you I have consistently upheld the promise I made in my confirmation to Jesus, God, and Holy Spirit. And that was my first light body experience, which is why I was able to recognize all the other stuff. Light body, light body, light body, rainbow body. And when you get twin flame or twin flames, you don't change it up because of anything. Yeah, there's choice points. So when you're out in the desert and you're the bridge and you pray, God never leaves us behind. The only ones who are going to betray are those who will not care, and they will not say they're sorry. So there's a bunch of people out there that don't care about emotions. And as I was telling a person the other day, I said, the way that you're behaving and speaking right now makes you the same as this other group that you're wanting to say is evil, and really no one's evil. Everyone can be rejected, and that actually causes the embodied brain to feel a stab in the heart. So when you understand how humans are made, that's why you don't reject, you welcome, you support, you understand. And for those who are aware of how mind mastery and emotion mastery work, it's somatic stability, mental stability, and it's integrated. And welcome aboard. So check out PayHip, Substack, and let's stay grounded in reality. Science is true, whether people believe in it or not, but believe me, the ones who don't find it believable that attachment and trauma education and just going to a good mindful therapist will work wonders, it is what it is. But let's stop talking about monsters. I know I'm going to continue to ensure you understand how God's perfection works. Free will. And we will be back with more. Again, in the meantime, thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.